wanted to mention self-cleaning ovens and what you think of them and if they cause any complications.
Yeah,
I know, yeah, actually quite a lot of people who seem to search for like, is my self-cleaning oven enough? You know, do I need to do more, or should I even bother doing it? So I'd love to get your take on them.
whenever customers ask me about that when I'm at home, the answer I usually have for them is, if you ask 100 technicians that work on ovens how many of them use the self clean on their own oven, 100 are going to say no. Eh, you know, um,
Yeah.
it's a great concept, and there's
Yeah.
folks who do a self clean once a month for 20 years, never have any issues. What happens during a self clean, they're very effective, but any variance in what your owner's manual tells you to do to prepare for the self clean and how to use the self clean will result in some negative consequence. A lot of the ovens will tell you to remove the racks. So people who don't remove the racks will find afterwards they may be warped. They may not be able to support, big heavy things, because it during a self clean it gets upwards of 700 degrees easily. If you don't remove any excess food, say you just spill a bunch of stuff in there and, we'll just self clean it, you risk a fire. It can cause permanent damage on the lining, so it starts to chip off the paint and everything. The most common negative result of a self clean is that it blows basically the temperature fuse. Especially built-in ovens are kind of the culprits here. The freestanding ranges are a little bit better about being able to handle the heat. The main reason for that is they're not confined in a cabinet. So all of that heat is it's heating up your whole kitchen. When you have a built-in oven, that cabinet basically insulates it. So all of the electronics, all of the temperature fuses get so hot it pushes it to the extreme, and it will typically blow the temperature fuse. So a few things can happen after a self clean. You may notice that it's totally off. There's no lights, there's no display. So it's blown the temperature fuse near the control board because it got so hot in that cavity that houses it. It blew the fuse to cut off the heat to protect the electronics. Sometimes it will blow the temperature fuse on the back of the unit, which cuts off power to the elements. So you'll still have lights, everything will be functioning, but it just won't heat. Sometimes those are resettable, which is nice because it just means you've got to pull it out, hit a button on the fuse, and it's good. Those are really the issues with the self-clean. What I have noticed in recent years is a lot of models are offering kind of what they call like a flex clean or like a steam clean, where you look in the oven and that the bottom, you've got a hidden bake element, so you just see the bottom cavity, but there's kind of an indention where you can actually pour some water in there and then activate the steam clean feature. That's great because it doesn't heat up as much. It requires a little more cleaning afterwards because you got to wipe everything out, but it's definitely a lot safer. So if you want a self-clean oven, and especially if it's a built-in oven, I would recommend trying to find something where you have that kind of steam clean option.
I think it's one of those features where, no one ever enjoys cleaning an oven, but sometimes the things marketers will tell you are good, too good to be true
Oh yeah,
in terms of tricky appliances to clean themselves.
yes,
Really, really good to keep in mind, and definitely a steam clean, like, cuts down on the elbow grease required. Just yeah, we can never get away with cutting it out altogether.
yeah, for
Um,
sure. So on the self clean, so if you're just adamant, I'm gonna self clean. If it breaks, I'm gonna have somebody come and fix it. It's worth it for me not having to actually get in there and scrub stuff. What really does help, of course, heat rises. And so if you have a built-in oven, there's almost always cabinets above the oven. And so what I've seen some people do, and it's kind of silly, but it's effective, is to take a big like hole saw drill bit and drill a bunch of holes in the cabinet above the oven. And then when you're doing a self-clean, open the doors, and then you're going to be able to have that heat vent out. You could even go to the another step and put a fan in there, blowing the hot air out to help pull what's built up. So that's another option. $15 at the store to get a hole saw bit, cut a couple of holes. It's not pretty, but it might save you a service call.
yeah, that's really smart, and essentially just, yeah, helping to circulate the air, keep it going.
Yeah.
Good way to do it, because I mean it is, some people may have situations where your back's not quite ready to bend over and start scrubbing the oven, but maybe the oven is starting to smell of grease or smoke or burning stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's a really useful tip.
Yeah.